What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. so, um, I don't think I'm gonna ruffle any feathers saying this. I mean, listen, myself and the crew, we since we started making YouTube videos back in '08, even I think before then, and I'll just speak for myself. I've always tried to be very unbiased and just shoot straight down the middle as it concerned just how I felt about the sport, particular fighters, fights, and what have you. Y'all don't gotta take my opinion as gospel, but I'm just somebody that historically I call it like I see it. I've been watching boxing for close to 30 some odd years, man, and probably a little more than that. And you're used to seeing certain things, so there's like a frame of reference. Okay, I guess that's probably where I'm getting to. But Canelo Alvarez, I think it's clear to say he is the proverbial figurehead of the sport when it concerns when we talk about a big fight and who the participants are going to be to make it a big fight. I think it's pretty obvious in the immediate. Canelo Alvarez is that guy. Okay, is he pulling in numbers like Mayweather and Pacquiao at their peaks? No, but again, we're in different times now. Okay, and even that still being said, Canelo still, I think he still has the pulse of the sports public when he fights. Listen, he's coming off of doing 850,000 pay-per-view buys with a guy in Caleb Plant that was still a virtual unknown to the casual public, okay? So that speaks volumes as it concerns who Canelo currently is in the sport, okay? But with that being said, no matter who you are, when you're at the top, and the way you know you're at the top is when you're getting stones thrown at you. And it goes without saying. You look at fighters historically, and when you're at the top, man, when you're at the top of the food chain, a lot of times, man, that's when you get your most criticism. And Canelo by far, okay. Well, let me say this. Canelo, I think since his break, his parting of ways with Golden Boy, okay, he has had his share of criticism as it concerns the level of competition that he's fought. Now, you're saying this, right? You hear me saying this, and the guy just literally unified the entire super middleweight division in approximately one calendar year, which, according to my recollection, has never been done. But the way I know Canelo is at the top of the food chain and he's receiving the criticism is because of the fact that, like, he is getting criticized for fighting the likes of Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, and Caleb Plant. Okay? Who were all champions. We're all individually champions in the division. But people, again, they want to see Canelo in with, like, again, David Benavidez. They want to see him in there with Beterbiev. Those are really the two guys. We're hearing about the Charlo fight materializing potentially for May. He's got like 2 deals on the table that, we're waiting to see what he takes. But I think, I really feel Canelo, and I've been historically critical of Canelo's moves at times, okay? But we got to call a spade, guys, okay? I think it's safe to say Canelo Alvarez, based on what's out there right now and fighters that are out there right now, I have a difficult time seeing anybody match his resume in the last even 5 years. And this is how I know the critics, and this is, I guess, like, to the point, like, is there validity to the, what's the word, to the reception that people are giving Canelo as it concerns the last few guys he's fought. And this is how I combat that, okay? Let's just say you remove Canelo Alvarez, okay? In the last calendar year. Remove him and replace him with Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, and Triple G. Meaning, remove Canelo out of the Callum Smith fights, remove him from the Billy Joe Saunders fight, and remove him from the Caleb Plant fight, and replace those guys I just mentioned. Now, imagine all those guys went in there and beat all those guys. Are any of y'all prepared to tell me that Triple G, Demetrius Andrade, and Jamal Charlo would not be put on a high pedestal for beating those guys and thus becoming undisputed super middleweight champion? Like, do you think there would be a call following him doing all that to say, oh, well, now you got to fight Benavidez. You haven't done anything. You got to fight Beterbiev. You haven't done anything. So to me, it adds to my point that I feel Canelo is just, right now, he's the guy that is going to be under criticism because he's at the top of the food chain. Look, are we going to act here? Are we going to sit here and act as if we're not a generation removed from the Mayweather detractors and Pacquiao detractors coming up with all these different scenarios that both guys didn't fight certain guys? I could spend a whole video on that. And I don't, and listen, y'all can go back to all my videos. They took some of my early ones down. But I have never criticized Manny or Floyd on a big scale. I've never criticized them not fighting guys. But I can make a 10-minute video talking about the guys that they didn't fight. Again, this is to my point of keeping it unbiased, straight down the middle. I've been a big Floyd fan. I've been a Pacquiao fan, Cotto, Mark, all these guys, okay? But even Cotto too. Historically, I've been a big Cotto fan. Did he fight absolutely everybody? Did he fight Triple G when Triple G was the number one Mando? When he actually beat Sergio? I could be that guy, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? Canelo, I'll say this, okay? And I won't drag this on. Name me like 4 guys that he hasn't fought yet, that chances are he's never going to fight, that he bypassed, and it's going to be a thorn on his side that he bypassed that fight. It's hard to navigate through, right? Which goes back to my point. And listen, I'm saying this from the perspective of somebody who's been critical of him. I was critical of him when he dropped the WBC title. But, again, when you go through the track record, okay, there's not a lot of guys he didn't there's not a lot of guys he bypassed. The only, in the last few years, it's been Jamal, right? Like, why didn't he fight Jamal? Why didn't he fight Jamal? But, like, at the same time, he still fought Triple G twice. He fought the Danny Jacobs. Like, those 3 fights alone should kind of tell you, like, well, who did he bypass at middleweight that was like, oh my God, like, is Jamal Charlo, no disrespect, is he that much harder of a fight than those 3 fights? We'll find out in May, right? But in a grand scheme, like, the only 2 guys that he hasn't fought that people have been trying to, I guess, see him in the ring with is Andrade and Charlo. And at least one of them, I think that fight's going to happen. But like, when you're talking about Benavidez and Beterbiev, like, Canelo is still 31 years old. Like, how is anybody suggesting, like, those fights are still not possible? Where when I could, again, man, I could talk about other guys that didn't fight, like 3, 4, 5 guys that were in and around their weight class at the same time that they were fighting. I'm just saying, man, like, I think sometimes, man, we need to use frames of reference, okay? The one thing and I'll wrap it up with this. The one thing I've been very critical of Canelo about, and I think all of us have, is the fact that he tests dirty. And again, this is me being unbiased. That, to me, I feel, if at anything, beyond who he fights or whatever, that is the biggest thorn on his side. Because when you look at it, listen, man, you go through his resume, you find me a better resume in the immediate. you're not gonna have success. You're not. So I think all of us just need to let Canelo's career ride out. Because I'm saying this all now, and yeah, look, what if he doesn't fight anybody from here on out? Then, like, there's credence to that. But if he is going to fight Charlo, he fights Benavidez at some point, he fights Better Beef at some point, then, like, what was the criticism? Oh, well, now he fought him too late. Y'all want to get into that too? So, I think in general, man, I think Canelo, he's still in the prime of his career. That's the scary part. We don't know how long of a career he's going to have, but I have a difficult time seeing Canelo not fight anybody for the rest of his career, where we're going to say, well, he's already fought the best guys he's going to fight. And this is, I personally don't think so, because there's money to be made. He's already got money, man, but like, Floyd, look at Floyd. Like, he could have retired after Oscar, money-wise, but look at him now. You know what I'm saying? Like, people can't act like Canelo has seen his biggest paydays yet. We'll see. Nobody knows that yet. Nobody knows that yet. So, I know I'm dragging this on, but I just think, I understand the criticism people have of Canelo and the choices of opposition and things as such, man. But I feel sometimes we need to take a back seat a little bit and just look at his overall resume. And again, looking at the landscape, like, find me like 3-4 guys y'all don't think he's ever going to fight that is going to make or break his career. You know, it'd be different. He was like 36 and he didn't fight certain guys, but it's not a lot to pick from, man, if you really think about it. So, but let me know what you think. I know I kind of dragged this on. It's a Saturday, but no fights until next week. And we got the return of Keith Thurman next week against Mario Barrios. And my little cat over there. But let me know what you think, man. Is Canelo's criticism of his opponent's selection justified? Or is he just at the top of the food chain and this just comes with the territory? Let me know what you think, man. So, like I said, next week, return of Keith Thurman, Mario Barrios, live on Fox pay-per-view. So, enjoy your weekend. Follow me at Gargigo Boxing, or follow us at Gargigo Boxing on Instagram. Me at Roberto_Flack on Instagram. Gargigo Boxing on Facebook. Facebook.com/GYG Boxing. Notification bell, like, subscribe, all that. I'm out. Peace.